So in yesterday's session, we have covered like how we can do the data-driven testing with the help of Excel data source. So the next step is to work on the data-driven testing with the data services. But before we get into the data-driven testing with data services, we need to understand what actually the data services, how actually it looks like, and how we can modify the data inside of it, and also how we can utilize them inside of our UiPath workflows, right? So let me share my screen. Can someone confirm me that like you can see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So from the menu, from the product center, we can access all of our UiPath products. So in that, if you click on more, you can see data services. If this is not available, if you cannot see the data service, what you need to do is you need to go to the admin under the default tenant, under the services, you just need to add your data service. If the data service is available, then you can access it. If not, you'll be having a symbol called a button called as add service. If you click on that, you'll get an option to select the data service and you need to enable that for your tenant. Having said that, I'll be going to the data service from the menu item of the UiPath product catalog. And here is my data service. Okay. Here under this data services. So the data service is nothing but like more of similar to what we see on our Excels or the databases, which is of a table structure. So if I say the login form, this actually looks like this. So I have the columns with the column names and also, or let me tilt it to the data. Sorry. Add the data. So I can just add some text into this, save. So I can see like I can have the column names, user type, password, and also other details. These are the by default, which will be available like based like just to showcase the history of who had done this and who like at what time this has got created and updated, and a unique ID will be assigned to this. So this is how the data service will look like when it comes to the data services in the product area. So I already have some application test data, which I will delete now. And we will create it manually, see how it is going to work. Sorry, let me type it then. Delete. Now I want to create an entity. So create new entity. From here, we can create a new entity and we can add our local fields. Proceed. So entity, we just need to rename to UI Bank loan application. Okay. So we can click on save. So we have a lot of things, but these are good enough. One second, let me come back. This is something got changed in the interface. Okay. So this is going to be my entity. So under the entities, I can see here is my loan application is going to be my entity. And here I can click on manage entities and I can add the objects. So here I can say my column name is email address, right? And it is going to be the text and it is not unique and it is a required field. I can say after the email address, loan amount, which is going to be text. I can say number also, but I'm just keeping it as text. Loan terms is required. Yearly income is required. I'm just creating the columns, okay? And ish. All of these are required. So now I'm just clicking on save. and I can come to the data. Here I can add the data. So I can say path through at uipath.com. Loan amount is 1 lakh. Terms is 3 years. Income is 35K. And age is 32. Save. Now I can see the data here. So now I have the data which is available inside my data service. Now we will see how we can retrieve this information in our UiPath Studio and how we can add any new information in to this particular data service from the UiPath Studio, which we may not directly use in or as part of our testing, but it is good to know how we can update or add the records to the data service and how we can utilize them. Click on UiPath Studio. I'm creating a blank process working with data services. Click on create. In order to use UiPath data services as in UiPath Studio, we need to click on this manage entities in the ribbon. And here we need to select which we want to have. So we want to have UI Bank loan application because this is the record which we want to data service which we want to utilize. Click on save. So now I got this imported this data service, but in order to work with the data services, we need to install the package. It will pop up here. Click on install package. Even if you missed out to click on this, and if you close this also, you can directly come here and you can search for uipath.dataservice.activities. I could not able to identify. The reason is I filtered with the UI libraries previously, but I need to have all libraries as well. I can uncheck everything and I can see this. Click on install, save. Now I installed all of my packages. If I go here, I can see the data service activities where you can work with the entities. Now I want to get the entity records. So you have query entity records. You can just simply drag and drop this and you can select the entities which we have created. So you have n number of entities, right? Like you have more entities which are got created here, but it is showing only one. The reason is you imported only one entity here. So select this and you can even add the filter also based on the filter conditions in case if this is equal to some specific values, right? That we can see it later, but we are querying all the records which is available inside of my entity. So here is my loan application. If I go to the data, here is my data. So I need to create a variable as an output records, control K, loan data, right? Now I need to print out what are the other detail, what are the each details we have. So click on for each. And here I'll be using loan data as my parameter because when I created this output variable, loan data, this data type is a list of items, right? So now see if in any of the tables or something, we will be identifying with the column names, right? But let me print out how we are going to write our data. Here at the info level, I'll be printing out whatever the data is available. So in the properties, I have the argument that so for each of these records, what I have in the data service, I'm naming it as this. So I can change it to loan data item. So this is the variable which we are going to use inside of my for each loop. So loan data item dot, we need to select which column you want to print. So I'll print email address. So this will print me whatever the email address I have here. So click on run and see. Output. Yes, I could be able to see path through at output.uipath.com. So this is how we will be reading the data normally. But let us see how we can add the data. Add records to entity. And here what I will do is in our previous project, what we have done is like we have an Excel which is got created for my testing, our testing project, right? So which is UI bank automation testing, application testing, and this is the data we have. I'm taking this file. And here we have three different columns, right? Sorry, sheets for three different test cases. So this I will be writing as one of the column, and also browser type also I want to add. And this I want to write it as test case name. So let me go here. Here I want to add few more columns, which is browser type. And I will add one more field, which is test case name. Okay. So these two are also required, and click on save. I'll come to the data. So these two are as of now empty. Even if I want to update, I can simply click on this and I can say edge. It will be automatically updated. Even test case also, I can say something and it will be automatically updated. But let me delete this record for now. And we will add the data from the Excel. But we will read the data from Excel and we will update those details here with the help of UiPath activities. So we have an Excel file. So I'll just say others. So here, if you see, I have my Excel file, loan application data.xlsx. First, I need to read the data from here and I need to upload this data to the data service, right? So I'll use read range activity. So the read range activity is something that we will be using to read the data from Excel data. So I'll use read range workbook. And I'll be selecting this Excel file. And I'll be taking this sheet name. So we'll be providing the Excel file name and the sheet name in order to read the data from an Excel. And here we will be creating an output variable, data table, which is Excel data, which is of data table. If I come here, I can see Excel data, right? And here I need to loop through each of the rows in the data table. For each row in data table, which I'll be giving the output of the previous activity, which is of read range. And here for each row, so the item name is going to be the current row, and I'll be adding the records to the data service. So for that, so what I will do is create entity record. Create entity record is the activity which I'm going to use. I can select this entity name and simply I can pass in the values here. I could able to see all the fields. So I can simply click on edit, add fields, and I can get these, right? But if you see, right, there are two more new fields which we added here. If I go to the column names, we have added browser type and the test case name, which is not available here. Click on save for now. What we can do is we can go to the manage entities and click on the refresh. Now it is saying that there is some change. We need to update. Click on save. Now those changes will be reflected back into this particular new code. So if I go to the additional fields, I can select these two as well. Click on save. So now I got all the fields, whatever I need to add it to the record. Now this sheet name is going to be my test case name. So this is fixed all the time. So if I go to the test case name and the rest everything, I'll be taking it from the Excel. So the email address is going to be the column name. So here we will say that current row of the column name dot toString. So what it will do is it is looping through each of the row. And for this particular, for every row, it will be adding the email address to my data service entity. In the similar way, we will be adding it to the others as well. The browser type.
The first one is the age, not the email address.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm changing it. Yeah. Thanks. And the next is email address. dot toString, loan amount, loan terms, yearly income, dot toString. So this is how we will be adding, we can add the data to the entity. So now I'll close this Excel and let me run this. So its execution is completed, and let me come to the data and refresh this page. See here, I could able to see all the data which is got reflected here. And let us suppose I want to update some record here. So let me take this particular user, Silaja, and change from the Edge to Chrome. So we can do what we can do is in the read query, query entity records, which is to read the data. Here we will be passing on the query filter where the email address is equal to this particular same value. Only those we will be getting, and the rest everything we will not get. And now we can, what we can do is update entity record. And whatever the entity record we are getting, that we will be passing it for this particular entity. So we need to have a record ID in order to update the details. So here we can say loan data item, which we got it from this particular output is the list, and we are looping through each of these, and which is the loan data item dot ID. So which means it is saying that like go to this ID and update the detail. So the browser type I want to change to Chrome. And let me run this. Okay. And here if you see it is Edge, right? Let me refresh this. It's not necessary to refresh the entire page. Here I have an option to refresh. Let me click on this refresh. But Silencer, it is Chrome. So it is got updated. So this is how we can work with the update entity records. And so we have seen that like how we can read the entity records with filters, how we can read the entire records. And also we have seen that like how we can add the records to entity. So you can perform all the operations, crude operations we can say, create, read, update, and delete. Even the deletion also possible. So if you want to see here, if you can go through the each and every activity which is available for us, like update, record, update multiple records, query entity records, delete, and also it can deal with the files also. In case if you want to have one more entity type, you can change this from here to file. So it even accepts the file uploads as well. So I'm deleting it, which is not required for us as a moment at the moment, but you can even have the entity records also. That's how this works. So till this place, do anyone have the doubts?
So we are adding one of the option is we can also add it to the queue item assets, right? Instead of this one or queue items. Sorry.
Queue items, we can go for it.
So
But here, yeah, please go ahead.
What is the difference? Like why we need to add to data service instead of queue items?
See, we have the session on the even data driven testing with queues also, but the difference what I can say is the dynamic filtering is possible with the what we say dynamic filtering is possible even with the queues as well. But the advantage what we have is like in case if you want to filter out the data, these data needs to be executed and this needs to be not executed. That dynamic and more flexibility is there with the data services. Even you can build an app on top of this particular data service and you can give it to the end user so that they can even view it. But for the queues, you cannot give the access to the end users. And even you can manually update the details here. It is bit hard to update the details manually in the queues. So this actually will provide you a controlled data-driven execution with the data centrally shared across.
So that depends upon the preference in the project,
Yes.
in the what,
Yes.
okay.
Correct.
So is there a, because we can add more than 100, right, in the queue items. So
Yes.
is there a flexibility here as well?
Yes, you can.
And so you mentioned one of the thing like file upload, right? Is it possible in queue items as well? File upload, no, right?
No, not possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Here I can add one more column called as status, whether execution is completed or not, or whatever, right? So if you want me to execute yes or no, so those things also we can do, but for now we are not doing it. But I'll show you like how the filtering is going to happen as well. Okay. Now I want to add the records to the other sheets as well. So let me go to my Excel sheet and let me take the second underaged and I'll put this. Yeah. Meanwhile, you can ask me the questions.
Yeah. So before performing the data service, we need to enable the manage entity from your participant. No?
Yes, correct. You need to add the data service from the mainnet entities in case if you are dealing with the process automations. But the test automations, it actually doesn't require for you to go manually and update it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the slight difference. So I'm just giving you a heads up like how this can be used and how it actually looks like and how it actually works. In testing project, we will not do all this much big circus there, but we will use the updation in between wherever is required, but we will not use the read. Like whatever we have the query, right? This or add records we will not use as part of our testing process, but these can be used as in utilities when you are updating your test data or when you are adding your test data. Yeah. So let me add these details also. Refresh. I got all the data, right? So I got all the 21 records got added now. So now we need to execute our data-driven testing with the help of these records. In between, we can delete the records or we can add more data as well to the records. So we will see how this is actually getting fluctuated with the help of our data-driven testing. But before that, I would like to take a step back and to take any questions if you have any doubts into what actually the entities are, how it can be used. I'm taking a step back.
So, Patrudu, in real time, most of the cases, all are preferable to use this data service only, like for the data-driven testing kind of thing.
So
Not
it
the
is
Excel.
not mandatory, right? See, the best practice is to use either the data service or the test data queues. These two are one of the best practices. You need to look at your flexibility and the user requirement. See, sometimes they will say that like, see, I'll use the same data, but I want to select which data to be executed in which time, and I want to enable or disable some data, right? So it depends.
Okay, if we use the Excel, we need to publish again and again, right? Like a test case
Yes,
published to
correct,
reflect
correct,
the data.
correct. But here it is not required.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm closing this and I'll open our testing project. So I don't want to disturb the existing data-driven testing, which we have done with the Excel for this code because we are pushing the things into the Git. So I don't want to do that. So what I will do is alternatively, I'll go to my test cases. These are my test cases, right? I'm just making a copy of each. And let me come back to my studio. So these are the copies, right? What I will do is I'll rename these to data service. Instead copy, I'll say data service. Because I don't want to overwrite the existing, because we need to make some modifications on top of it. The same code, I just want to change it to a different data source. Don't get confused because I don't want to overwrite the existing Excel data driven. Okay. Because there will be a slight difference which I may need to make. So first, let me go with the overaged. I'll remove all these arguments. I don't need arguments. I'll remove all these arguments. I don't need these arguments. This is okay. I'll go to the other data service. I'll go to the arguments. I'll delete all these. So I have deleted all my arguments, which are related to all of my 3 test cases. Now I need to configure these to my data service. Okay. So I'm not going to the manage entities as of now. So what I will do is I'll go to the overaged, right click, add test data. Where is this? Oh, these are like workflows because I copy pasted. So I'll see in case if you already have the proper, I think this is a good one. Actually, we encountered this. So ideally in our sessions, I will not be covering this, but see, this looks like a workflow because this is UI. If you see the round symbols, that actually we call it as a test cases. And there is no change. Everything is same. So simply I can right click on this, convert to test case. It will be automatically get converted. If you use the create test case, what will happen is it will create a new file for you as a test case, and this file will be invoked into that. So which I don't want to do it. So I'll use the convert to test case. I'll right click, convert to test case. Simple. All of my 3 flows are got converted to the test cases. Now I can right click on it. I can use add test data. And here I'll be using data service from the drop down from the source. Previously, in the previous session, we have used file, but now I'll use data service. And here in the data service, this is going to be my record, which I will select. And this test case is going to be overaged, right? Whatever related to the loan application, I used entire data into the same dump. And now I need to use overaged. So I'll just simply copy this text, whatever I have, based on the test case name, what I have, and I'll click on this filter. So there is a filter icon here, apply filters to the selected entity. Here I can click on this. Now automatically this entity is got up imported. Instead, I go manually to the manage entities and add it. It is automatically got added. Now I can use add. I can add a row, and here I will select the name test case name. Whatever the entity column name I have, I'll be having it and equals to this particular value. And even I can have multiple conditions with or and. So I can do that as well. But here it is simple. I'm going only on single condition. Even if you have multiple conditions, you can do it. So I can give the name loan application overaged data service. Now I'll be clicking on OK. Click on import. Now it has got imported. And if I go under my test data, I can see this. See, all the other 3, we have the file icons, but here we have the database icon, which is using our data service. Okay. And now if I go to the arguments, I can see that there is some argument by default, which has got created, and the default value is given as this, because whatever the data we have as of now, that is getting reflected. But in the real time, it will try to fetch the data that we will see. And now I need to pass these values into these, right? So what I need to do is whatever the argument I have, UI bank loan application, right? So I'll just type that UI bank loan application dot browser type. Simple. I'll just simply use dot browser type. That actually gives me the value. And now I need to pass the other arguments as well. Correct? So for that, UI bank application dot email address. Simple. Dot and the column name what we have given there. That we need to give. Loan amount. And here it is loan terms. UI bank application loan terms. And this is yearly income. UI bank loan application dot yearly income. UI bank loan application dot is. That's it. That's the easiest way we can leverage the data driven. And let us assume I'll do one thing. I'll add one more column to this. Okay, I'll add one more column to this as status. Execution status. It's not about the pass or fail. Either execution is done or not done. Okay, this is not the required field because initially we doesn't want to add anything to the save. And if I go to the data, I have this as empty for now. Okay, because I have updated it. Again, I may need to come here, manage entities, click on refresh. There is a change, so I'll save it so that whatever is got updated, that will be reflected back here. And once everything is done, the run test is done in the final state. So we have the try catch, right? So irrespective of whether it is a successful or failure, I want to say that this got executed. So we can use update entity. So we don't have that. Yeah, here it is. It is getting downloaded. Till now, we haven't used those activities. That's the reason for which for adding the data driven testing, it is not required to have this package to be installed or this package to be taken. Now I'll be selecting the entity and the data which I want to update is just the execution. I don't need the other details. I don't want to update anything. Just I want to update execution status to done. As we are getting only one date entity item, which is nothing but our argument dot ID, which we are going to pass it. Now, as soon as this has got executed, this will update the status back here to done. In Excel, we cannot directly update the data from the on the source Excel itself. But here, this can be done. This is going to happen in the real time. So let us add it for the under est as well in the similar way. Where is this? Here it is. Add this data. And I'll use the data service. And I'll take this. And I'll have the filter. And I'll add the filter. Test case name. And the name is going to be under est. And I'll put the value and the name also I'll keep the same and I'll say data service. Click on OK, click on import. So the data is got imported. I just need to update the details. Dot browser type. Save. Here in the arguments, I need to update the same. Which is done now. And I need to update the record as well. So update entity record. I just want to update only the execution status to done. dot id. So my test case is now good to go for the data-driven testing with data service. Okay. And now let us focus on this submit standard record. Submit standard record, add test data. I'll use the data service and I'll be selecting this and I'll be clicking on the filter and I'll say this value is going to be submit standard record, add row, test case name equals to this value, service, click on OK, click on import. And let us provide UI bank application dot browser type. This is done. And here we need to update the arguments. Click on save. Now it's done. I have updated. Now I need to add the update record. Update entity record. Select the entity. Go for the additional fields. Select only the execution status. Click on save. And I'll update this to done. And which is ID. Now till now we have done everything. Correct? But I want to add one more column now. I'll go to the manage entity. I'll say execute test case. And I'll say yes or no. But I'll just keep for now as a text. Okay, let me go for yes or no. Okay. Default value is going to be S. Apply. This is yes. Save. Data. So whatever, see the thing is like whatever we have added, that is going to the last. Okay. So now I'll go to the data. Now what I will do is I'll just do one record from the standard to S, one record from the underage to S. As of now, I don't want to go. I'll keep no only, which I have already selected. One record from the overage to no. Okay, let me come here. Let me go to the test explorer. You see here, the data services, it is not showcasing how many iterations it is having, how much data it is having, because it will fetch in the real time. So now what I will do is I'll go to each and every test case again to update my test data based on another condition. Update test data. I'll go to the filter. I'll add one more. Add row. Execute. I don't have that execute test case, right? Cancel. Click on manage entities. Every time when we change something in the data service, we need to refresh these entities or whatever we are using. Now we will go to this overage, update test data, go to the filter. I'll add one more, which is execute test case equals to S. Click on OK. Click on import. Okay. And for the other, same. Update test data, go to the filter, add row, execute test case equals to
So,
S.
Patrudu, you are saying that execution test case is whichever is yes, you need to execute those test cases.
Correct.
But you made as a no over there, right? Like
Yeah,
in
I'll
data.
change them. Intentionally, I did it. So now I have updated all my conditions here. If you see in the Excel, whenever we change the data, again, we need to publish them, correct? But here, I am changing the data now. I'll change this to S. And I'll change this to S. So there are 3 S records for these 3 test cases. So I'll go to the Test Explorer. I'll select all these 3 and I'll click on Run Selected. I got the failures. Let me see. Okay. The reason is very simple. I made a mistake. I should not be keeping Boolean here for the filter. I'll change this to text. Select this. Click on save.
But the option won't be there, right? Yes or no?
Let me see. Data is got deleted. Yes. Now I need to add one more entity with the same name. And I'll keep it as text for now. Looks like it is not accepting the Boolean. That's the reason for which. So I can say, I can look that back and I can come back, guys, but it's not, looks like it is not going to accept it, but I'm just manually doing it S. This test case name, standard request. And I'll come here. First, let me see. I need to refresh my entities because I have changed. Click on save. Let me see the filter criteria now. Under the test case, I'll right click on this, update test data. I'll go to the filter. Yeah, it's going to work. No change is required. And I have updated for one, right? Standard request. Let me run only the standard request. Run. Now it is working. Looks like it's going to fail. Yeah. I'm stopping it, but I'll show whatever I want to achieve, I could able to achieve. Now we will publish and see that. So it got only one data iteration. So now I'm minimizing this. I'll log out and close this and we will run it again. Let me go to the data service. Here it is S. I'll do one more S for the standard loan request. So what I'm going to do is I'm publishing this. Okay, whatever the data which I have done to the test manager. Now I will change everything like 2 iterations for each of the test case, and then I will run it from the test manager. I'm closing this code. So there's a standard request 2, I kept it as S. Application under est, I'll kept 2 as S. Over est, I keep 2 as S.
So here I have a question, like you mentioned browser type for one of the test case as Edge and other one as Chrome. So will that work like that?
Yes.
Okay.
So now I have updated all of my test data. Now I'll go to my test manager. I'll create a new test set, which is having only the data services test cases. And now it should run only 2 test cases from each of these categories, correct? Based on the data, whatever we are inputted and the data test set for data service test cases. Click on create. See, I don't want to allocate something to here, but the problem one thing which I missed out from the code is to link these test cases to the test manager. I haven't done it, though I published it, but I haven't done linking of these test cases. I need to link this to test manager. Link to test manager. Click on OK. Link to test manager set as publishable. These are the mandatory things if you want to execute from the test manager or the orchestrator. Okay, I have done this. I'm closing this and let me go to the test cases. I can see these test cases, right? New test cases. What I will do is I'll come here. Come to parameters. No. I want to add the labels to this. So I'll come here. We'll go to the projects, custom field definitions, create. Data service, label, test cases, test sets, label, data service. Click on save. Come to the test cases. In here, details, select this. I'll come back to the next test case. I'll go to the details. I'll select data service. Come back. Details. I'll select data service. Okay, all these are having the labels. Let me go to the test set. Test sets. Assign test cases. Dynamic assignments. Something I'm missing, guys. Let me go back. Test cases. Oh, here it is. Data service. I'll remove this. Sorry for that. I even got because there are some changes happened with the latest versions. So let me come here. I removed it. I'll just create data service. I'll select it. And I'm coming to the next test case. I'll add one more label to this data service. Come here, I'll add one more data service. Got created. So what I have done is for all these three test cases, which I just uploaded, I have created a label to it by clicking on under the labels. Okay. And I'll come to the test set. Here it is. And here I don't want to assign the test cases by selecting. I'll go for the dynamic assignment and I'll say data service. Select it, click on assign. If I go here, if I see the data service dynamic assignment, I could able to see 3. In case going further, what will happen is, in case if I have a lot of test cases, I can just simply dynamically assign it. In the static assignment, we need to select which test case I want to assign it to. But here the dynamic assignment will work based on the labels. Even I can change this label at any time. And we need to select the automation, which is shared. And I want to go with this particular robot and auto select. Click on save. Now all the test cases are got selected. And now I can simply go here and click on automated so that all these 3 test cases will execute and we should see only 2 iterations for each of these test case. Let us go to the execution. See what it will do is first it will start executing to fetch how many iterations it requires. Initially, you cannot see any iterations here, right? But now if you refresh, you can see for one test case, the iterations. See here, for this test case, it is saying 2 iterations. And for the other 2 test cases, now it will give you. Start executing, let it get executed. So in the real time, it will fetch based on the filter criteria, how many test cases they need to execute, and it will execute based on that filter criteria. Something is going mess with my codes. That's the reason for which it is going to and fro, and these will fail. But I just want to show you that how this data-driven testing actually works.
Because you have selected the execution, execute test case as yes, only for 2. That's why you have only
Yes,
2 iterations.
2 iterations. Yes, correct.
So in general, so we are not executing the test cases individual. We are only adding to the test sets and we are executing it.
Yes, always it should be. You cannot
Oh.
execute single test case here. So meanwhile, let me go to my test manager. See the, okay, let it go. Here it is working. But with the Chrome, I think there is some problem, but we will figure it out in the next session.
So, Pathud, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
So every time we need to update like a different set of data in the data services, right? Whether we need to update it every time in the
It
studio
depends.
or okay.
It depends, right? If you update the data here in data service, right, it's not necessary to go back to your studio unless you're changing adding any new columns or removing the existing columns.
Okay, within the same number of columns with the same names, we need to update in the data services directly.
Directly. That will automatically fetch in the real time what is my test data based on the filter criteria what we are giving. Yeah, there is something wrong with my I think code. But if in case if you see here, it could able to fetch the data like for each of these test cases 2 iterations. Of course, all the test cases will fail now, but I'm just giving you a heads up that like in terms of the data driven, it is working. Something went wrong with the code actually. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, and what about the test case name? Where it got fetched from the Excel? Is it like a sheet name? Is it getting fetched?
No, this is not Excel, right? I explicitly got added it. Hard coded this name because see because all the data is same. Only the test case is different, right? So
Yes.
I just want to filter based on this particular test case, only that corresponding test case to use this data. Because for the overaged, I don't want to pass the underaged data, right? So
Yeah.
that's the change which I made. Yeah. So it's just just to keep a filter condition. So this will actually come in the test design phase. Test data design you will be doing, right? So at that phase itself, you will be getting it.
So for
Okay.
different
And
scenarios, you are adding different test case names.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
the status of the specific data, is it
Mhm.
is it getting updated in the data services, or
Yeah,
else we
if
need
you
to
want, you can add it. See, I have done is what I have done is I just want it to be get updated as whether if it is executed, I just want to get it done, irrespective whether it is failure or successful. If you see, I
Okay.
used update entity record, right? So there you can change, like in case if you want to update successful or failure, you can do that as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
here it
it
is.
got failed, if any case it got failed, is there
Mhm.
any way to execute only the failed test cases?
Yes,
Like
it is
failed
possible.
data again and again. Yeah.
Yes, it is possible. You just need
So
to keep your condition in such a way that before you publish your data.
for the execution status as done, so
Mm-hmm.
where we can change it to failed or passed.
Okay, I'll show you in the code.
Okay.
So,
Because when we pull the report from the
Mhm.
dashboard, it won't give the wrong results, right? If it fails also. No,
Not getting your question, but
like if the execution status we are mentioning as done, that means how in real time how it works.
see,
Like
that will
even though
not
it is
work.
failed.
That will not work in the real time. So that's what I mentioned. Irrespective it is pass or failed, I just want to have the execution status as done. That if it is got executed, that's the reason for which I kept the create entity record at the finally stage of the try catch block inside of my run test case.
Yeah.
But in case if you want that needs to refer to the exact status, whether it is successful or failure, right? So I'll show you in the code where what we need to change.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if I come to my data service, sorry, the test case, this is my run test. And I have try, catch, and finally. I have kept it in the finally. Instead of this, you can use this update record in the exception state, stating this is false. And in the try block, after this verify expression, here you can make it successful or failed based on the outcome. See, this is not going to be your source of truth to say whether your test case is failed or successful. This is just to show you that like whether this has got executed or not. But the overall test results, you will be seeing it here.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the
Oh,
data
we are
service data,
just verifying it based on result.
yes. Your source of truth of your test results is this, because here you will be having a step by step where actually it has got failed. This is just to say that like whether this has got executed or not. In case if you want to have, even you can keep that here also.
Okay, got it.
That you
Thank you.
just need to customize using this update entity record based on the customer ask, right? So some people may ask you that as well. So it depends.
So if
Okay.
in the code, if we change it like if it is success, it will give that scenario. Otherwise, it will go to exception, right? If it is failed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all depends on like how the requirement was given to you, like what is the users ask and how we are designing. Okay. So this is
Okay.
how we will be doing the data-driven testing with data services. And I'm really sorry in case if you are still having any questions on the data services, please do let me know. I can even have one more session on the data service. Because this is completely some new concept for many people, I know. In case if you have something, if you want to have in detail more than this on the data services, but as per the testing needs, we will not use more than this. But in case if you want to have, then I'm happy to even connect to take all your questions. In case if you are not okay to ask in the common group, you do let me know so that I can connect with you guys as well on the data service.
Okay, so we are just we are uploading it from Excel, right? So right now,
See, it's not like uploading it from the Excel. I just show you like what is the option to add
what
the
is
data
the option?
because
Yeah.
yeah, because if you click on this add data here also you can manually do it. Instead of doing it manually, if someone is giving you the data already available in Excel, I just showed you like how you can directly simply do that.
Yeah, so that's one option. Is there any other option that we can
Yeah,
get it from the query, from the DB, and we can do that for sample
yeah,
data?
you can do that. You can do that. Just need to use the select query to get the data into data table and loop through the each record and just push the data to this like using the create entity record. And there is another option. So not sure, but see, guys, I cannot cover this as part of our sessions for sure. But if you want to explore, you can try exploring it. So I can go to the UiPath apps. I can just create an app for this. Click on create. Create a form for inputting data into data service, which I already have with the fields email address, loan amount, loan term, age, browser type, yearly income, execute test case as text fields and submit button. Click on send. So the autopilot is helping me out to create, but you can manually do that with the help of controls. This is actually a low code platform. So here I have all the things available. So I just need to bind these details to my data service. So for that, I need to get my data service connected here. So I'll go to the settings. Not here. Even I was not that much great with this, guys. So I'm just trying to give you. Somewhere I should have the option to add entity. I can go next. I can select the entity, which is loan application. Click on add. So the entity is got added. And now I can come here. I can go to the email. I need to tag this value to that particular field. So let me see. In the
So,
submit.
Patru, this UiPath app is nowhere like, is this part of like testing utilization? Like we can also utilize the way
We
you are
can use
telling?
we can use it. Like see, let us suppose your user is not interested in sharing you the test data with Excel. Let us suppose if you are leveraging your test data queues or your data services. So you can just build a very simple app that like they can enter the information to submit or they can view it. So whatever. So it all depends on, right? So here on the click, I'm saying that like create entity record. Which entity record to be created? Entities, your bank, and the age from the controls. Age, right? So which is, if I scroll down, here is my age value I want to bind. And even for the browser type, which is under the controls, where is my browser type? Value, email address, email address. So this is one of the advantages. I'm just telling that like we have different options here. So execute test case, value, execution status. Oh, this is not required because we are not taking it as an input. Controls, which is loan amount, value, loan terms, value, test case name. Oh, we haven't created anything for the test case name, which we need to create, but that's fine. Let me go here, yearly income. I didn't cap for yearly income. Yeah, here it is. Value. Okay, so this is how I want to have an action. But here I need to have one more similar to this. So I'm just copying. Okay, but I'll delete this ish. This is not required. And here I'll say, what did we miss? Test case name. I'll change this. Name. What is that? Test case name. Click on save. So this value, I need to have a required field. Everything is okay as of now. So I can go to here. Under the events, I can edit the rule. Here I can simply say controls. I have something called as test case. Oh, close this. Here I need to change. Test case name. Now I can come here. Event credit. Here I can simply say test case name. Well, so as soon as someone inputs the values here, that will automatically create a record in the data service. So even in this way also we can give it. So you have a lot of controls to do that. So you can do a lot of fancy things wherever is required. I'm not expert of these apps, but I'm just giving you that even that option is also available. But it is not necessary that like you need to have this knowledge. It depends on, it's entirely depends on the use case. Okay.
Okay, will it append the existing
Yes,
data?
It will.
Okay.
Okay. But don't think much on the UiPath apps. If you are not aware, just leave it. Just focus on like how we can do the data-driven testing with the help of data services, how we can update the results back, and based on the requirement or ask from the use testing team, how we can update it, or the business team, how we can update them back. So this is going to be our agenda. So apps is something that like we have one of the option. So I just showed you that. That's it. Okay. Any questions, guys?
So Patrudu, like if you are updating anything like a data services, again we need to publish it from the studio, or will it take it like as a queues?
See, in
Without-
case if you are updating any column fields, right? Even for the queues also, you need to update those key value key in the key values, like you need to update the key, right? So in case if
No.
you're adding any new details in terms of the rows, it is not required. In case if you're adding any columns, then it requires a change in the code.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you'll get a clarity once we are dealing with the test data queues, because for the test data queues, we need to define the JSON schema. It is not similar to how you deal with the normal queue items.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Any
Thank
more
you.
questions, guys? Cool. Hopefully. And in case if you guys have any queries, feel free to message me so that I'll cover it in the next sessions. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.
You.
Thank you.